So I want to thank Tam for joining us from Egypt, because he's our Egypt expert. He's going to talk about all this stuff. And so I'm going to jump right into this and share my screen, because I will tell y'all that, let me share this as we jump into it. Oh my goodness. We are talking about some amazing sites. As I've been working on this trip, I have just been astounded with the history and the beauty of Egypt, you know, between the really ancient historical things that we're going to see, but just some of the beautiful places we're going to get to go. I'm very excited about this. And, you know, as we think about Egypt, of course, the fact that the pyramids are one of the ancient wonders of the world, the only surviving one, is a big deal. And I think that is all people think about in regards to Egypt. And so there is so much more. And now, and of course, you know, the whole view of the camel, like the pyramids and doing the Nile. But we're going to get into more than that, because there is a really fabulous story to be told in that history and some of the things that we're going to see. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tam to kind of talk us through what we are going to see and what the fabulous sites are in Egypt. So Tam, take it away.
Thank you so much. Greetings all and salutations from Egypt. How are you all? All good?
Good.
First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. Actually, my name is Tamer, but I decided to shorten my name into Tam. I think it's easier to remember. And I've been doing guiding and Egyptology for the last 25 years. And hopefully I'll be showing you the wonders of my country, Egypt. First of all, thank you all for joining us, and thank you for choosing Egypt as your preferred destination for next year. That's fantastic. I think it's about time to travel, don't you think so? Oh. Enough COVID, let's travel. That's the idea.
Absolutely.
So we're really looking forward to having you guys here and showing you the wonders of Egypt. And if you like history and archaeology and very good stories, this is the place to be. We've got it all. This is the cradle of civilization. Moses been here, Jesus been here, Muhammad been here. All the big guys been here in Egypt. And soon enough, hopefully you guys will join us and you will be here. So it is definitely fantastic, guys, that you're going to come and see us. I've gone through the itinerary, and it's very comprehensive, I have to say, and it's tailor-made, and it has some of the most amazing things we have here in Egypt to show you. Are you excited to come and join all these sites with me?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes. So what I'm going to do, I'll be walking you through what we're going to do and all the amazing sites. And obviously, I will definitely point out also the photographs to just give you an idea of the sites we are going to visit. And then in the end, I'll be open up for a Q&A for a few minutes, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Sounds good? Good. For everyone? All right. So guys, when you arrive here, we're going to do a couple of very interesting days in Cairo. As I can see here, that on your first day after arrival and after we check you in, we're going to visit some of the greatest archaeological sites in the outskirts of Giza. Just so I would let you know that the capital of Egypt now is the city of Cairo. And Cairo, by the way, is one of the biggest cities in the world. You won't believe when I tell you that the population of Cairo now is about 16 million, 1/6. It's huge. The funny thing, or the ironic thing, that Cairo size-wise is not as big as metropolitan New York City. Have you all guys been to New York City? You know how big it is? Cairo is actually smaller, but it's very condensed. It is actually developed rather vertically than horizontally. So it is congested with people. 16 million people live here. And the interesting thing that Cairo is like the twin cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's two cities combined together as one city. Here we have two cities. We have Cairo on the east bank of the Nile, and we have Giza on the west bank of the Nile. Cairo is a province on its own, and Giza is a province or a state on its own, and both of them separated by the River Nile, but considered to be what is known here as Greater Cairo, which is the capital of Egypt. So most of our ancient historical sites will be situated to the west side of the greater city of Cairo, which is the area of Giza, the outskirts of Giza. Why is that? Because actually the ancient Egyptian capital called Memphis, not Memphis, Tennessee, the home of the king, another Memphis we have, it is actually named Minifer, and then later on pronounced by the Greek and the Romans as Memphis. Memphis now is about, I'd say, a good 45-minute ride west of the province of Giza towards the countryside. This is the oldest capital of Egypt. It was built by the unifier of Egypt, King Mena, about 5,000 years ago. And by the way, King Mena for us is like for you guys, President George Washington. He is the unifier of Egypt for the first time thousands and thousands of years ago. When he built this city, it became the capital of Egypt during the early time of the pharaohs, also known as the Old Kingdom. I won't go into the details till you guys come and join me here, but I want to say that Memphis still stands till now, but unfortunately it has been destroyed largely through the time, negligence, vandalism, etc., etc., etc. But we've got some pieces still to be seen there. And this will be our first destination. So we're going to ride from the hotel, say, for about 45 minutes to an hour. And we're going to visit the Open Air Museum of Memphis. And there you're going to see, for example, this piece you can see in front of you right now. Can you all see it, guys? Wave, if you can see it. Can you all see it? This is the Alabaster Sphinx. This is one of the biggest alabaster sphinxes in the world. And by the way, this piece is almost, roughly, we say 3,600 years old. Just think about it, guys, for a minute. 3,600 years old. Showing the king of Egypt in the style of a body of a lion with the head of the king. And when you come here, I will not answer that now, and don't try to Google it now. I will tell you why the kings of Egypt love to be shown with a body of a lion, not something else, and their own head. Sounds good? So let's flip to the other photograph. After we finish Memphis, we're gonna visit the oldest prototype pyramid ever, which is the step pyramid of Saqqara. This pyramid, you won't believe when I tell you, is the oldest standing pyramid in the world. You won't believe when I tell you it's 4,700 years old. It was actually built 27 centuries before the time of Jesus. Just think about it, guys, for a minute. That's pretty old. Don't you agree with me? That's the thing, it is very old. We're going to be standing at the foot of this amazing pyramid, which is, as you can see in this photograph, is being fully restored by the Egyptian authorities, but they finished the job and it looks fantastic now. We're going to spend some time there, learn about the pyramids, learn how the Egyptians came to the idea of building a pyramid tomb, learn about what you can see in front of you, which is the cartouche, the oval shape, and I'll explain why the kings of Egypt always decided to write their names within an oval shape. Why not a square, a rectangle, a triangle, a couple of lines under the name? Why the oval shape? There's something you have to think about. Again, don't try to Google it. Wait, you can Google everything, all right? But try to wait till I teach you these things when you come here. Promise? That's the idea. Because if you do anything, you don't need me anymore. Okay, let's move to the other photograph, please. This will be our following stop after Saqqara. We are going to drive beyond Memphis and Saqqara further into the desert, and we're going to visit a site which is, to be honest with you, off the beaten track. Not that many people go there, but I'm really, really glad. I'm saying it's amazing that it's actually in your tailor-made itinerary. This is the Bend Pyramid, which is an intermediate stage between building the step pyramid first and then the complete and perfect pyramids of Giza. So we're going to head there. We're going to visit the Bend Pyramid, which is about 4,600 years old. And there I will explain why King Senefru, the owner of this pyramid, actually made it in such way. Was it intended at the beginning to be bent? Is it a calculation mistake? Is it a design mistake? Is it a spaceship which landed from the space and was abandoned there? We're going to learn all that. You guys come over, all right? Let's move to the other photograph. And then obviously after we finish with the pyramids known as the Pyramids of Dahshur, we're going to return back to the outskirts of Giza. And as they say, the ultimate site we are going to visit that day, and maybe for the whole trip or the vacation, will be the Pyramids of Giza. I bet you Or I bet you guys were always thinking about visiting the site since your childhood. Am I right or wrong? That's the thing. It's always there on anybody's bucket list. Interesting thing I want to tell you. This is FYI. Do you know that when they did a survey, people around all nations around the world, asking them, what is your favorite place to visit? They all agreed, or not all, most of them, or the majority agreed on the site of the Pyramids of Gize. So the Pyramids of Gize is the most desirable place, historical site to visit, or touristy site to visit in the whole world by the people of the world. But I want to ask you something. This is just general information. Do you actually know for a fact what is the most visited site in the world? I'll leave you 10 seconds. What is actually the most visited site, touristy site in the world? Or it's also a historical site. It is the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower is visited by, this is all pre-COVID, obviously, by 36 million people or tourists a year, 36 million tourists a year. So I thought of just giving you some information about the most desired site, the Pyramids of Gize. During the good days, pre-COVID, when things were good here, we normally get between 8 and 10 million people visiting the pyramids, but the most frequently visited site would be the Pyramids of Gize. When we head to the Pyramids of Gize, we have a comprehensive trip. We are going to visit the best of the best of the best. We are going to visit the Great Pyramid of King Cheops, and there we are going to figure out how eventually the pharaohs of Egypt figured out how to build a perfect pyramid and what is the purpose, which is the Great Pyramid. The second pyramid of King Khifrin, and then we're going to proceed to the third pyramid of King Min-Kau-Ra. Do you think you can spell his name? Min-Kau-Ra or Mykerinus. Mykerinus, that's the thing. The Greek historians, when they came to Egypt, they said, oh, we can't pronounce Min-Kau-Ra, so we're going to just say Mykerinus. And it is the name of this pyramid now. But the right pronunciation, which I will stick with when you guys are with me here in February, is the ancient Egyptian language, which is hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics is one of the oldest languages in the whole world. And it's been deciphered in the 1860s by someone. Try to think who, and we'll try to answer this question. Who deciphered the hieroglyphics, the ancient Egyptian language, for the first time when you guys come and visit in February? Obviously, we're going to wrap up our day at the pyramids by visiting the Sphinx of Giza, which belongs to the second king, or the builder of the second pyramid, King Khifrin. And I will explain again comprehensively why the king decided to go ahead with engraving this statue right there by the pyramid, or by the foot of his second pyramid, and why it's taking his own head and his own face. And if you look carefully to the picture, you can see that his kind of upper lip and nose is missing, right? Can you see it? It's not there anymore. Do you know why? I'll explain that when you come over here. And actually, it used to have a beard, but the beard also disappeared, and I will explain why when you guys come over here. It's going to be a long day, but it's going to be really, really interesting. I just want to point out something that, you know, the month of February is the best time to visit in Egypt because the weather is just super perfect for sightseeing. All right, I'm ready to move to the other photograph, the next photograph, which will be the following day. Yes, the following day.
Yeah, I mean, because what we're going to do is go from some of the pyramid stuff and then into some of the sites in old Cairo.
Yeah, that's it. So in Cairo also, either first day or the second day, but when we go to the city itself, we're going to have a touch of the mixture of historical sites we have in Cairo. And Cairo is a very rich city. Cairo is more than 1,000 years old. It was actually built by the Muslims. It was built on the ruins of earlier cities or earlier capitals of Egypt. You can easily spend weeks and weeks exploring Cairo. That's where I live. I live now in the outskirts of Cairo, in an area called New Cairo. But this is one of the amazing sites we are going to visit when we kind of touch the local life and the Islamic part of the city, which is the older part of the city. This is the fortress or the citadel of Saladin or Salahuddin. Have you ever heard about him before? If you have seen a movie called The Kingdom of Heaven, it is actually focusing with a Hollywood touch on this story of Richard the Lionheart and or what happened before Richard Lionheart and Saladin This fortress of Salah ad-Din, he's a sultan. You know, the word sultan is like a king of the Islamic Empire during the 12th century AD, and he built this fortress for us as a fortification feature of the old city, the city of Cairo. We're going to spend a good hour there exploring the highlights of the fortress of Saladin.
Yep. And one thing I will throw in is like, I've got all the sites of Cairo together right now with the pictures, but actually on the trip, we're going to space it out a little bit because we'll be in Cairo, then we're going down to the Nile, and then we're coming back to Cairo. So some of this in reality on the trip is going to be spread out, but I just kind of clumped all the Cairo stuff together just to make it clearer where different things were. So just wanted to throw that in. So back to Tam.
Okay, pacing definitely is very important. And what the site we're going to see in us, then after we kind of visit Islamic Cairo, or even maybe before, we are going also to have a tour of the Coptic. When I say Coptic, I mean Egyptian Christian part of the city. And there we're going to visit some amazing old churches we have here. Like, for example, the Hanging Church ahead of us, which is also known as the Church of Virgin Mary. And I will explain it, you know, when you guys visit, why it is nicknamed as the Hanging Church. You won't believe when I tell you that this church is almost 1,000 years old. 1,000 years old, and it has been extensively restored and renovated recently. Hence, you can see the perfect condition the church is in now. So we're going to also shed some light on Christianity in Egypt and who brought the faith to the country. And by the way, it's not Jesus Christ, may peace be with him. Someone who followed Jesus Christ actually brought the faith of Christianity and introduced it to the Egyptians for the first time. And we'll explain that when you guys come over and see us. You can move to the other photograph. If you're ready. The bazaars, obviously we'll have a stop, walking tour around there, maybe some retail therapy time. So we can walk around the old shops there, haggle. You guys are good with haggling and bartering, or not that good? I'll try to polish your skills when you are here, because otherwise I think you will have to remortgage your property. All right, so you have to try to haggle, and I'll give you guidelines of things you can buy, cheap things, and you know, we're going to do stops also, buy good gifts and all that stuff. It's just an amazing place to walk, take photographs, and just touch the local life, mingle with the locals, you know what I mean? Try some local beverages like mint tea, Turkish coffee. Has anyone tried Turkish coffee before? Yes, this is like 10 Red Bulls in one bottle, all right? Give you right wings, all right? I always have Turkish coffee when I'm feeling a bit low. When we do a lot of trips, I think you'll definitely need Turkish coffee. I'll take you to that, that's for sure. This is returning to the Mosque of Muhammad Ali. It's within the walls of the fortress. So when we are doing the fortress of Saladin, we are going to visit this mosque. And by the way, when I say Muhammad Ali, I don't mean Muhammad Ali, the boxer. You know, God bless his soul, but this is as the Sultan of Egypt during the Turkish era. I'm talking here about the 1800s, and he left, like the pharaohs used to leave pyramids behind as a reminder of their legacy. The sultans of Egypt used to leave mosques because they are of Islamic faith. And Muhammad Ali left this amazing mosque. You can see it from the inside now. It's ornate in such a, you know, beautiful way, and most of the genuine features, if not all, are still there, and it's being restored now, and it's kind of shining now as it used to be when it was initially built in the 1800s. This is the Mosque of Muhammad Ali. It was finished actually in 1848, so you would know. This is another mosque of Al-Azhar, that's in Islamic Cairo, and then obviously we jump into the Egyptian Museum in downtown Cairo, returning once again to the picture of King Tut. When we visit the Egyptian Museum, also in Cairo, it's going to be downtown. We're going to have a highlight tour of the museum. The museum has 100,000 pieces. We're going to focus on the masterpieces of art in chronological order. So we're going to visit some pieces which are 4,800, 700, 600 years old and younger. And then we're going to move into the Middle Kingdom, the New Kingdom. I'm talking about more than 3,000 years ago. And then we are going to wrap up our tour by visiting the collection of King Tutankhamun, which is the creme de la creme of the Egyptian Museum, including the golden mask of King Tut, which you can see now. You won't believe when I tell you that this is actually almost 30 pounds of pure gold. 30 pounds of pure gold. And I will explain the story of the king and how unfortunately he died at a young age, at the age of 19, and how he was hastily buried and the reasons why, etc., etc., etc. So it's going to be a highlight tour of the museum, and definitely very interesting. The following day, guys, we're going to head to the airport and we're going to hop on a shuttle plane or a flight, which is about an hour and 10 minutes. Egypt is not as big as the United States. It's not as vast. So this is probably the longest domestic flight we have here, which is not very long. In the standards of the US, it's about an hour and 10 minutes from takeoff to touchdown. We are going to visit a site which is, I'd say, almost about 700 miles to the south of Cairo, just close to the border of Egypt with our neighbors to the south, the Republic of Sudan. And we're going to visit one of the most famous archaeological sites in the world. This is something you will never forget. This is definitely a life changer when you are standing in front of the colossal statues of Ramesses. You'll feel yourself insignificant, that big, to the size of Ramesses. Each one is 60 feet in height. All the temple is rock engraved. How Ramesses and his followers did that 3,300 years ago, this is mind-blowing. And that's what I'm going to explain when we head there. That's another shot from the other angle of this rock engraved temple. And the interesting thing that this temple and the other neighboring temple, there's another temple to the extreme right, which is kind of hiding from the frame of the photograph, which is not this one. It is the temple of his wife, beloved Nefertari. I tell you what, Ramesses was married for more than 50 times. He's the man, but he had a wife. That's what we think, right? His third wife. He wasn't his first, nor his second, but his third. So third strike did work, all right? She died before his death, unfortunately, and he honored her. I'll explain the story when you are here. And the amazing thing about those two temples too, as they were built such a long time ago, that how they were moved to a higher level by the Egyptian authorities and UNESCO. Have you heard about the UNESCO? It's one of the organizations of the United Nations, which is kind of involved with the heritage of, and historical sites and the wealth of history here in Egypt and all over the world. They helped us and aided us in moving those temples 160 feet up. Why is that? To be continued. When you come here, I'll explain why those were moved up 160 feet in the 1960s. All right, ready for the next photograph? Then after we're done with Abu Simbel, guys, we're going to return back to the same plane, and it's going to be a very, very short flight, which is about 25 minutes to Aswan, which is further north. When we get to Aswan, we're going to embark our Nile cruiser, and we're going to do some amazing sights. Aswan, by the way, is one of my favorite cities, and the best time to visit Aswan is in February. It is lovely, it is warm, it's nice. We're going to visit the temple of Philae, or Isis.
Okay.
We are going to do a sailboat ride, which we call Felucca. This is the temple of Isis. It is on an island. It's beautiful. Here it is. It's just amazing. We're going to have maybe a cup of tea there. We're also going to do an afternoon on a sailboat or Felucca, which is also a lovely experience in Aswan. That's the Felucca. That's an example. We call it Felucca here, but it's like a sailboat. It's driven by wind. No engines whatsoever. And this is a view from the back there of the city of Aswan. It's known to be a very picturesque city. So if you like photography, any members of the group, they won't be disappointed. It's like a heaven for photographers and actually birders. Because if you are in bird watching, Aswan is a destination for migrant birds from Europe. When Europe is freezing in winter, guys, they always come and enjoy the warmth of Aswan. So you'll see some amazing collection of birds when you are visiting the city of Aswan. So if you are into nature, into bird watching, you won't be disappointed when you are visiting Aswan, plus the amazing and mind-blowing historical sites we are going to visit there. This is our cruiser. It's beautiful, as you can see, very comfortable. And here we are sitting. The best thing you can do is just like, it's my favorite. I've been doing like cruising for 25 years, but at the end of the day, it's always nice to just sit on top deck and see life going by as we're cruising the Nile. It's biblical, guys. It hasn't been touched by civilization. As if you're cruising in the time of Moses. You're cruising during the time of Jesus. May both peace be upon them. is just sitting there and enjoying cruising, seeing the farming on both sides, seeing the cattle, the water buffalo, seeing the kids waving at you and saying hello, seeing actually vendors trying to sell you stuff on canoes. This is something you have to see, guys. This is actually mesmerizes me every time I cruise the Nile, even though I've been doing this for 25 years.
Yeah, and I'm gonna jump in here because you can
Yeah.
see that this picture is kind of grainy. So the reason I don't have a picture of the cabins is they were really small, so they'd be super grainy. But all of the staterooms that we have on this cruise all have balconies. And so so it's really going to be nice. And so we'll be doing the Nile for the Nile cruise for 4 nights as we go to visit some of all the sites that Tam's going to talk about from now on. So back to that.
This is back in Cairo, so we can skip that for the time being when we get to Cairo. Yeah, this is back in, yeah.
Is that Cairo too?
This is among the sites we're going to visit in Luxor. Obviously, when we are on the Nile, I will do a briefing every day and I will let you know, guys. So tomorrow we're going to do so and so, so and so. So you won't get confused. And I'll be always hanging a program on the board so you would know what sites we're going to do. And I'll be there to answer any question. I'll be staying with you hopefully on the Nile cruise. You can see here, for example, some of the sites we're going to visit. Like this is the Temple of Ramesses III at the Temple of Karnak. This is about 3,100, 200 years old. That's amazing. You can see the king in the Osiris form, or his 2 hands crossed over his chest, which is a typical style of the king ready or prepared to travel to the afterlife, holding the symbols of sovereignty in ancient Egypt, the crook and the flail. Those are huge. And when we get there, you see the amazing sights of them. This is actually returning once again back to Abu Simbel. This is in the shrine of the temples of Abu Simbel. So we can move on back. Yes, this is another site, which is the Temple of Ramesses III also. It's amazing. And this is one of the most preserved temples to see on the west bank of the city of Luxor. So we'll do a day of touring what is known as the Theban necropolis. You will find when we visit Luxor, guys, that most of the theme on the east bank is living, and most of the theme on the west bank is afterlife or dying. Because always bear in mind, and try to imagine that Egyptians believed of their life to follow their sun god, Ra. Have you heard about Ra? So for them, sunrise means life, sunrise, and sunset means afterlife, which is what they believed in. They believed in resurrection or afterlife, or as we call it now, heaven. So that's why you see in many cases, there's cities where they lived. It's not always the case, but in many cases, they lived on the east bank of the Nile. But when they died, they laid the kings and the queens to rest on the west, like the Valley of the Kings. You find the Valley of the Kings to be on the west side, because this is a reflection of what the Egyptians believed in, which is the passing to the afterlife, which is the sunset. For them, sunset is the passing, or means the passing to eternity. Look at some of the sites we're going to visit, the amazing colors. Just, if you can bring this photograph back of the Temple of Ramesses III. No, the other side.
No.
Yeah, this one. Look at the colors. Those are the genuine colors. 3,300 years old. 3,200, 3,300 years old. Just amazing how the colors, are so in such a vivid condition after such a long time. This is the images of the Temple of Luxor. We're going to visit in Luxor, which has the Avenue of Sphinx ahead of it, and it's lit by night. If it's possible, we'll try to visit the temple in the evening, because there's something out by sunset. It's just amazing to see the temple by daylight, by sunset, and by night when it's fully lit by night. Those are images of Ramesses. Each one used to be made out of a single block of granite. Just imagine how they managed to move those images more than 3,000 years ago with very primitive. They never had caterpillars, cranes, or levers. All basic tools, guys, and how they managed to erect those statues and the obelisks in front of the temple. I'm gonna shed more light on that when we get there. Yeah, this is also on the west bank of Luxor. This is all around the city of Luxor. This is the temple of the Queen King Hatshepsut. Can you say her name? 3 English words. Hot chicken soup. hot chicken soup. This is the easiest way of remembering it. Actually, I'm going to explain that to you very easy way because it's very easy, very hard to remember her name. She's a hat, a ship, and a suit. Got it?
Yeah.
Hat,
Ship.
Suit.
suit.
And
You
ship.
got it? Got it? She is the first queen ever to be named king and to be shown as a man. Why is that? This is in season 2 when you come and visit Egypt next February, all right? This is the temple of Queen Hatshepsut. Look at her images there. Look, she is totally shown as a man. She's wearing the beard. No, women don't have no beards, but she's wearing the beard. She's wearing the crown. She's wearing the royal dress. She's holding the crook and the flail. But if you look carefully to her eyes, you can still see her eyes and her facial features. You can still see she's a woman. So there is a reason behind that. And again, don't even dare Google it till you come and see it yourself. Look at that. That's the Valley of the Kings. This is the cherry on top. You know, it's just, we're going to visit where the kings of the new kingdom were laid to rest. Those rock engraved tombs where you are actually going to walk in where they were laid to rest. And you are going to explore the amazing scenes on the walls, which are still fully, I can say almost fully retaining the genuine colors, as if they were colored a few decades ago. You won't believe that most of those scenes, like this picture you can see of the tomb of Ramesses VI, were actually colored more than 3,000 years old. And you'll find out, and I will talk about the theme of afterlife, the book of the dead to the ancient Egyptians, and what they believed in ancient times will happen to the king after he dies, as he's passing through the gates on his way for immortality or eternity, which is the ultimate quest for the ancient Egyptian kings. Can move to the next photograph. Yes, again, another view of the Valley of the Kings. You can see every single inch is fully decorated. It's just mind-blowing. This is the coffin of the king of Tot, and hopefully by the time you come here, the mummy will still be there. The mummy of the king is on display beside this coffin, and you actually will see the mummy of the king himself. He's not as good looking as he used to be. He looks like this, but you know, here you go. He's a mummy. You expect, all right? So he's been around like for a while. And when we are visiting the tomb, I will explain how Howard Carter, I'm not sure if you heard about him before, he's the English/British historian who discovered the tomb in 1922. And just FYI, the discovery of the tomb of King Tut by Howard Carter in 1922 is considered to this moment, I'm speaking to you right now, the greatest archaeological discovery of all time. Nothing surpasses the fame and the importance of such amazing discovery. This is numero uno right there. 1922. And soon enough, next year is going to be 100 years since they discovered the tomb. Look at the sunset of the Felucca. Hopefully, if we are time permitting, we'll try to do the Felucca, and the weather permitting, obviously, if it's not too windy, we're going to do the sailboat ride by sunset. Because also, again, for photographers, this is a great opportunity to be on the Nile as the sun is setting behind the homes of Aswan and setting behind the sand dunes of Aswan and so on. Balloon ride. This is definitely a must do. I've been up on, has anyone been on a balloon before? This is, yes, what do you think? It's amazing, huh? It's just an amazing experience to be flying over the splendor of the Theban necropolis, the west bank of Luxor, very early in the morning. You might say, oh, I hate you, Tam, because it's very early in the morning, but nothing beats watching the sunrise rising as you are flying over the splendor of the Theban necropolis, the west bank of Luxor, the temples of the east bank, and the amazing river Nile, the vein of life for the Egyptians. This is the balloon ride, and this is in Luxor. And the Pyramids of Gize, here you go. Again, so you can see this is like a brief walkthrough, guys. So what do you think? You're in? That's it. That's what I'm talking about. So obviously, if you have any questions about anything, I'm at your beck and call. just let me, I'm right here. Thank you.
You
Thank
guys have
you.
any questions? So Tam did a great job hitting some of the highlights, or well, I mean, some of the amazing places that we're going to get to visit. And of course, that I always like to throw in some special experiences. So we will do the balloon ride. We'll have the sailboat, and other special little things will be thrown in to really make this the ultimate Egypt trip. So y'all have any questions for Tam? Yeah, Tony.
What would be the proper dress for a woman in Egypt?
Okay, guys, when you guys come in February, it's going to be on the colder side. So to be honest with you, Egypt is not very strict as you might think. So what I think is something comfortable, like pants, shorts will be fine. But in the evening, you will definitely need a jacket or a cardigan. Nothing very wintry like Eastern United States, like something lighter. But it's good to have something, because in the evening it will be on the chilly side. I'm talking about in the morning, the temperature will hover between 75 and 80. And in the evening, it might drop to 65 or something like that. But most of the historical sites tours will be in the morning. And normally we've got the sun 365 days guaranteed almost. The annual rainfall here in Egypt is 2 inches, which is nothing. What you get in a couple of days, probably back home. So there won't be an issue, but something light. Definitely it is physical. It's a kind of physical tours. So you will need to have comfortable shoes, and we'll always have breaks there. It's not very strenuous because we'll always have a break here and there, coffee, tea, facilities, all that stuff. But it is definitely comfortable shoes, sunglasses, hat, the essentials.
Great. Now,
kind of what Tam, it's just like normal tour stuff, a pair of jeans, a pair of slacks, top. Like there's no dress code type of thing in Egypt. Cool.
No, Egypt is not very, you don't have to wear something. And even if you go to a mosque, you don't really have to cover up unless you want to. And even if you go into a mosque and you're not properly dressed, they will provide you with a robe free of charge. But it won't be an issue. We're not very strict here like other countries around the world. We're very easygoing, and February is a good time to travel, and light clothing in the morning, like traveling, touring stuff will be fine.
thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I'm there. I'm actually here or there. I'm actually there, Egypt. Right, so I'm just thinking about it now. I'm there.
So, any other questions? Anything y'all can think of?
Obviously, guys, anytime you need anything or any questions, I'm always there for you. So just shoot me an email or a text via the travel agents, and I'll be happy to always answer your questions. You know what I mean? And what we do normally, if we are good on time, that when you guys arrive, we'll have like a Q&A briefing at the beginning, and I'll give you an insight again of what's going to happen on the ground, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have then. Sounds good?
Sounds great.
Hey, Sue, did you have a question? I saw you unmute. So did you have a question?
Oh, no, I just wanted to be able to talk if we needed to.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It looks like a good trip.
Yeah, I think, like I said, when I first started researching this, like I had no idea. Such amazing, because of course I was familiar with the pyramids, but the whole history of going through the other pyramids leading up to the ones that we're familiar with. I mean, that history is fascinating. And then some of the sites that we're going to see in Luxor and farther down the Nile. It's just mind-blowing, some of the experiences that we're going to get to have. So anyway, well, thank you all for your time, for joining us. Tam, thank you so much for stepping us through that and really creating some intrigue there with some of your questions that we have to come and learn the answers to.
Yeah, guys, there might be a quiz at the end of the cruise. If you don't answer, you stay here forever. I'm sorry. We'll turn you into a mummy.
Tony, do you have a question?
I have one last question. When will you have the brochure and the price and all the information?
We should have it by the beginning of next week.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, and,
Sounds
yeah, I'll just say the beginning of next week, and
Mm,
as parts come available, I'll send them to you.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Again, Tam, thanks for your time, and thank you. Thanks everybody for being on the call, and can't wait till we go to Egypt next year.
Can't wait either.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Tam.
And
Waiting,
wait to see you
guys.
all.
We're waiting. I'll tell you in Arabic, salam, which means bye-bye. I'll see you in February, hopefully 2022, hopefully.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Salam.
Okay.
I'll be
Bye.
there.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. God bless. God bless.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Tim. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.